Welcome to the Manx Theatre Podcast.
Come on to the theatre.
Hello, and welcome back to episode 48 of the Manx Theatre Podcast with me, Neil Callan. Thank you to everyone who's listened to our previous episodes. If you're brand new to the podcast, welcome along and thanks for joining us. In this podcast, we like to try and keep you up to date with what's going on in theatre on the Isle of Man, chatting to the cast and creatives of upcoming shows to find out a little bit more about the shows and the people behind them, and also what our Manx born and bred performers are doing further afield.
Coming up on this week's podcast.
I'm joined by Charlie Williams from Paradox Theatre Company and three of the cast members from their upcoming production of The Merchant of Venice. You can still listen to all of our previous episodes through all the usual podcast outlets and at manxradio.com/podcasts. Whilst you're there, make sure to give us a like and click subscribe or follow or whatever it is you need to do to make sure you never miss an episode. Since the last episode, we've had a very successful and well-attended Full Monty from Two Feathers Productions, which we talked about in the last episode, and also Kinky Boots and Sunday Night at the Gaiety from Tailoring Productions. We had hoped to catch up with Casey Crane, Vic Wilde and Nick McLean, but unfortunately, due to a busy rehearsal schedule, we just couldn't find the time. I'm sure we'll find another excuse to chat with Casey and Vic in the coming months. The Full Monty and Kinky Boots were two great feel-good shows, both addressing different, dark and difficult issues which are just as applicable today as when they were set and written, and sending everyone out happy and dancing. Also, Our Lessons Young Stars of Man was a wonderful night of theatre, with a great chance to see some of our excellent up-and-coming talent that will certainly be gracing the Villa and Gaiety stages in years to come. And if we're still around, no doubt we'll be on this podcast to talk about their upcoming shows. The Manx Operatic Society are gearing up for the remaining cast and ensemble auditions for their March 2024 production of Lionel Bart's Oliver. Auditions for Fagin and Nancy were held back in July, and they've announced that Mark Doherty will be playing Fagin, and the current young singer of Man, Eve Pazar, will be taking on the role of Nancy. The auditions for the remaining roles will be held over the weekend of the 1st to 3rd of September at the rehearsal halls below the South Douglas Old Friends Association on Finch Road in Douglas. They're currently running some pre-audition music sessions, so check out their Facebook page for details of how to register and get your hands on the audition pieces before it's too late. Two Feather Productions are also beginning their audition process for next year's production of Jersey Boys. The first round will require registration through their website and the submission of a video audition. Details of everything you need to know can be found on their Facebook page. Registration and submission of videos needs to happen by the 24th of September, so get on it. And of course, we can't let this episode go by without congratulating Samantha Barks and her husband, Alex Stoll, on the recently announced pregnancy. Sam had a last performance, for now, as Elsa on Sunday 20th of August, before having her baby in October. She's due to return to the role of Elsa early in the new year. Make sure you keep up to date with what's going on between episodes by following Manx Theatre Podcast on both Facebook and Instagram, and X, as Twitter is now known, where you can find us as @ManxTheatrePod. And we're also now on Threads as well. Right, down to business. I'm joined in the studio today by producer and performer Charlie Williams and performers Ian Thomas Dixon, Bryony Grant and Meg Walker from the cast of Paradox Theatre's upcoming production of The Merchant of Venice. Meg and Bryony, welcome to the Manx Theatre Podcast. Ian and Charlie, welcome back.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
Yes, welcome. What?
And as always, my name
Hello.
gets done wrong. Thomas Ian.
Sorry, Thomas Ian.
Thomas Ian.
Sorry. One of these days I'll get it right.
Sorry. Man of many names.
So, we're here today to talk about Merchant of Venice,
Yep.
which is coming up in just a couple of weeks' time.
Oh, yes, not very long
Right.
at all.
Very soon.
And thankfully the weather seems to be getting a little bit better as well.
Don't
yes,
jinx it. Don't
yes,
jinx
it will. But it doesn't matter if it doesn't. No, it's it's looking okay.
Good. So, Merchant of Venice then. When you were back with us a few months ago, you did insinuate that you were intending on going outdoor with this.
Yep.
And there were a couple of options on the table, but we've settled with the Villa Marina Gardens.
Yes, so we were looking at a number of options. It was something that we came out of the success of Much Ado About Nothing, and that went really, really well and better than we had expected. And Alex and I said, well, what do we do now? We've got to kind of up the ante, so to speak. So we came on your podcast and said we're going to do it outside, and hoisted ourselves with our own petard to that degree. But it was something we wanted to try, and we've been looking at a variety of different venues. And you just realise it's very easy to flippantly say, we're going to do this, and then the logistics of doing that come into play. But we finally managed to settle on the Villa Marina Gardens because we approached the Villa and the Villa Gaiety and their new team and basically said, look, this isn't. We put forward the proposal. They said they thought it sounded great. They were really excited about it, and it just worked. It was just one of those moments where everything just clicked at the right time. So we thought, this works better, and it's a brilliant outdoor venue in the centre of Douglas. and so we grabbed it with both hands, and that's where we are.
Brilliant. So, for those people who aren't familiar with this new writer, Will.i.am Shakespeare, I'm not sure if I've got that right. So, the story of the Merchant of Venice. Tell us a little bit about it.
So the underlying story that everyone will know of the Merchant of Venice is played by the ever excellent Mr. Dixon to my right.
That's one way of getting the names in the right order.
Yes, yes, indeed. Mr. Dixon to my right is that of Shylock and the Pound of Flesh. That's what everyone will immediately click on when they hear Merchant of Venice. But it's not necessarily, unless you did it at school or you're really keen or you've seen it a lot, it's not one of the most commonly known ones inside and out. So it's not kind of a Macbeth or anything like that where people are, oh yeah, no, I've seen it a few times and I know the principle and the stories. So it's actually classed technically, I think, as one of his comedies, and I'm going to say that in kind of this voice because it's one of his more controversial ones because of the themes within the play.
Yeah.
It's been used historically for nefarious purposes by people who wanted to, accentuate prejudice and all of that kind of thing, and we deal with that squarely on the head. We recognise the type of play that this is, and it's dealt with. But at the same time, what we've all worked out, and I've learned from doing this play, is that actually none of the characters are particularly pleasant to any great degree. They all have, everyone kind of goes, oh, it's a really anti-Semitic play because it portrays Shylock as this villainous character. When they actually read it in the way that we've done it, you go, it doesn't really actually. No. It portrays a lot of other people as being. You kind of sympathise with Shylock in many degrees, and you see why he gets to where he is. You might not, try and do what he ultimately does do in the play, but you do sympathise with his reading there. And Shakespeare's writing betrays a large amount of prejudices and ill feeling by other characters as well. So we liked that challenge with this one. We like the fact that it's not, an easy goodie and an easy baddie. It is nobody is quite okay.
Everyone's a little bit
murky, and there are things that characters say which you go, not quite comfortable with that, especially nowadays. Unfortunately, however, the themes of the play are very relevant today. Prejudice, revenge, all that kind of thing. But being Shakespeare, and I'm looking to the ladies on my left and right as well, it's full of a romantic bend as well. There's a romantic story. There's a lot of humour in there. There's a lot of levity, and the cast that we've got for this show have really brought all of that to the fore. So I think it's going to be a great family show. And
there's some strong female roles in there as well. Shakespeare did seem to write a lot of strong female roles.
Yes.
Yeah, he did. I will attest to that because I think Portia's probably, on the surface, comes across as this wealthy heiress who is there for romance and for love and that kind of thing, but actually really strong as a character and very much way more complex than she seems on the surface, which is really nice because I think often, if I think back to school and when I studied Shakespeare and I think about that, I don't think that was really kind of emphasised, that women were strong in Shakespeare and that they had a lot to do and they had something to say. So it's been really nice exploring that and seeing it from a different point of view, I think, and seeing her as quite a strong character.
And that could be just a change in the way society is now as well.
Yeah.
There is more focus on women in lead roles as well, and maybe it's just the way that, whether it's David's direction or whatever, but how you focused it around in a different way to maybe how they would have done 20 years ago or whatever. So
yeah, and I think there's just, obviously, don't want to give too much away if you don't know it already. Do come and watch it.
Spoilers.
But there are some really interesting moments where she is absolutely toying with the men around her, and she is deliberately kind of showing her intelligence and her knowledge and her skills, and that's really nice to see. I think so. There's definitely elements where I think she is a really strong female, which is nice to see in a play that is so old. It's not modern writing.
Smartest one in the room.
Yeah. I don't know if you can do a spoiler alert for a 500-year-old play.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. Like, if you don't know it that well, then.
But she's also horrible.
To be fair, she has her moments. Yeah, absolutely. Like Charlie said before, none of these characters are inherently good or bad. There's a very human quality to, I think, all of them, and very much so the same with Portia. Actually, Ian and I were just talking about it earlier and saying that there is a lot there. There are moments where you think, oh, good for her, and then there's moments where you think, oh, maybe don't do that. That's not a nice thing to do.
Everyone dances the fine line between good and bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think most of them sway more towards evil than to good, honestly, in the greater scheme of things. No one is nice.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. Everyone has some real darkness in them in many ways. So, I don't know. There's There's not a lot of good in many people in this
No,
play.
and I think there's everyone. I think every person, every character in the play makes choices that maybe the audience will question, and that kind of make you think about what would you have done in that same situation, or if the same thing was posed to you, how would you handle that?
Do you know, I saw a great quote recently that said, "Everyone is the villain in someone's story."
Yeah.
Well, that's a really interesting thought. Like,
Yeah.
who have I annoyed somewhere that really, absolutely hates the ground I walk? And I'm thinking, I like to think I'm liked by most people, but there's someone somewhere going, oh, that Neil Callan. Whoa.
Yeah.
It's me.
Soothing.
Someone out there going, it should have been me on the podcast.
So, Thomas, Ian, Mr. Dixon.
Whatever you like.
All of them.
So you're playing Shylock.
Yes.
How much of Al Pacino have you harnessed in your performance?
I deliberately didn't watch that one. Deliberately. It's like, it's
Probably for a good reason, really.
it's the one that everyone cites
Yeah.
as the one to watch, and it's just, there's always that risk that you're going to bring something unnecessary or that's not right for this rendition into it.
Yeah.
So it's like, as much as I kind of did want to watch it, because I'm a huge Shakespeare fan, but I hadn't seen that version before, and I have stayed away from it. It's like, it's our own version. It's different. I just didn't want to corrupt Dorsey's vision with something else.
Watch
So
it next month.
Yeah, yeah. As soon as it's over, I will go and watch it. And say, oh, that's what I should have done.
In 2007, I did Jekyll and Hyde with the Manx Operatic Society, and I was given a link on YouTube to David Hasselhoff doing a production. And I started to watch it. I thought, no, I've got to stop. I need to do the show and then come back and watch it because, my God, it was... Yeah. I do
some
not want
choices
to let
made in that,
anything
I'm sure.
here influence or infect my performance.
I did not know this existed, and I want to see nothing
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, it's on the dark web.
Yeah, it's been hidden.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
good.
Ian, then, tell us a bit about your character.
Well, Sherlock's he's a money lender, and as Charlie's mentioned, he's not well treated. There's a lot of anti-Semitic feeling in a lot of the people around him, and I think for the greater scheme of things, he does tend to let it brush off him, but then as events start to unfold, and again, try not to spoil too many things, it kind of heaps negative upon negative to a point where I think he just kind of breaks.
Yeah.
And just wants something to... He wants some revenge. He wants some control.
Is
over-
it all kind of tied around a debt that he's owed, that he's not getting the repayment for?
It's started that way.
Yeah.
I think if it was just the debt, he wouldn't be so bad. But, sitting next to me is my lovely daughter, who heaps further heartbreak onto him. And I think that, in combination with everything else he's going through and already being annoyed at people treating him badly, it's negative upon negative upon negative. And I think it becomes too much for him, and I think it just turns him down a very, very dark path.
It escalates quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he's necessarily an evil person. It's just I think he's a broken man.
Yeah.
That
Pushed to his limits.
pushed to his limits and snaps and
Yeah.
makes some very questionable decisions and won't back down. I think it is control, personally.
Yeah.
That's how I see it when it comes across. It's just he's lost so much control over so many things in his life, and he just wants that little bit back.
Yeah.
So it's like, I've got this to cling on to, and I know that I can, and that it doesn't matter what anyone offers, what anyone says, or how anyone thinks I should respond to this. I'm doing what I want to do because I can and I need it.
Brilliant.
He's a troubled person, I'd say.
Yeah. Meg, so you're playing Jessica,
Yes.
Sherlock's daughter.
The daughter, yeah. So she kind of, she sort of leads this sort of subplot. So not really involved in all of the main drama, which is quite nice. But yeah, so she ends up sort of falling in love with Lorenzo, who is a Christian. So obviously her father, Jewish family.
Yeah.
So she ends up converting to Christianity and basically just robbing her dad. She just steals all of his stuff and
Outright nicks
flees, basically.
Wow.
So
Nick stuff and legs it. That's what
Yeah.
you do.
Wow. Drama indeed. So causing dramas
my
of your
own
own.
drama, yeah. Got to be the centre of my own.
You're the villain of your own story. That's nice.
Charlie, who are you? You're
Salarino.
Salarino.
So I wasn't originally one of the
I was just trying to work out how
one of the
I was
many
pronouncing that.
S-named
One of the
characters.
Sals.
Yeah, well, there's there's a Salarnia, there's a Salarino, there was a Salario,
There was a
wasn't,
Salario,
but
yeah,
we've
there was.
fused that with another role because he kind of had about 5 lines.
Salami.
Shakespeare, I think, had a day where he just decided to mess with everybody by putting the very similarly named people in the same play. But I play Salarino, who's effectively one of two of Antonio's friends, who's played by John Walker. and he's a merchant of himself, and he kind of acts. They're a little bit of a double act to a certain degree, but he also has some pretty choice words for Shylock later on in the play as well, and certainly I might start out as somebody that you might like, but later on people might go, "Oh no, I didn't like that." So it's not a major role, but I keep saying to David, I'll just go into this scene. I'll just go into this scene. He's going, no,
wander.
Stop walking off stage, Charlie. You have nothing to say. You have no reason to be here. I'll just stand at the back.
Didn't you do that last year?
Yeah, I just do that a lot. Yeah, I do that in most things I'm in, to be honest.
I wasn't aware that Rooster was in this scene.
Yeah, yes. We're in the orphanage. Why is he there?
Why is he singing along to A Hard Knock Life?
Yeah. There's something. Yeah, it was dodgy before. But this is very strange. But yes, no. So that's my part. And then what's nice about this one is there are 3 people, including myself, in this cast who were in Much Ado About Nothing. So the majority of the cast is new.
Yeah.
And one of the big things that we had, that's not, by the way, because everyone hated being in the last show, just to flag to everybody, and have said we're never doing it again. But we saw, one of the things with when we started Parados that Alex and I wanted to promote was to kind of say, look, we've got the talent on the Isle of Man to do this type of theatre. Yeah. And we were getting a bit of pushback from people saying, no, you don't. No, English companies come over and do it, and they'll be seen by locals. The 3 local people who want to see Shakespeare, and that's it. 3 people named Derek will go and watch this English company of professional actors, and then that's it. So you can never do Shakespeare on the Isle of Man. It never works. And so we think both of those things are wrong. And we prove with Much Ado that you get the audiences and you have the talent. And with Merchant of Venice, I think we're going to prove it again, because we've got a fantastic cast of people, some of who it's their first time doing Shakespeare. Yeah. Some of them, it's pretty much their first time doing theatre in a long time. And also, we're now sold out the Friday night. We're nearly sold out the Saturday night.
Amazing.
So it's great to see that there's it's expanding the options for people, I think, over here, both for actors and for the audiences as well.
Great, brilliant. So looking at the rest of the cast then, we've got John Walker as Antonio. Mm-hmm. Peter Shimon is Graciano.
He is indeed, yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're testing me now.
Can you pronounce the names?
Daniel Sebastian Gray is Bassanio.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Jess is Meg Walker. Narissa, that's played by Jade Boylan. Is this her first?
It is kind of she's done some things when she was at school, but it was again it's the audition process kind of brings out people who want to try. Jade is really into Shakespeare. She's kind of a bit of a Shakespeare scholar. Yeah, and so other types of theatre don't necessarily. She may not want to go for other types of theatre, but this was something that she really wanted to go for. Ian's a close friend of hers.
Yes.
And so. Jay came in and she was really good in the audition. We really liked her. She's been great in the rehearsal process as well. And it's that kind of finding new talent as well that kind of makes us go, brilliant. Yes, come along. If the more the merrier, so to speak.
Marvellous. Returning from last year, we have Ben Gale as Lorenzo.
Yes, we do. As
is he going to be as thickly Manx?
No, he's not. No, there are some interesting accents in the show, but we haven't got any. Ben's not bringing back his thick Manx. Thick Manx, double.
That was a bit of a surprise last year. But what? Why is Ben thick Manx accent?
Yeah. We just wind David up and let him go.
I saw a production of, I think it was Merry Wives of Windsor in Peel Castle about 20 years ago, and they all did it in proper sort of regional accents, and it really added to the beast as well, because obviously it would have been like that in Shakespeare's day anyway.
Well, Shakespeare was from the West Country, he was like, oh, right there, hello there, my goodness, it's all that sort of thing.
The whole received pronunciation was still...
Yeah, well, one of the things that David's directing, he did it with Much Ado, and he's doing with this one, is trying to remind the cast, don't slip into the trap of the classic, oh, hello, sort of like holding a skull, deep voices, and being very reverent to the words. It's Shakespeare wrote this of his time for yes, okay, the language is old, but that's because it's of the time it was written. It's still beautiful and it's still relevant, and I think there's this reverence that people apply to Shakespeare. Sometimes it's appropriate, but it's meant to be, it's natural, it's about human emotion, it's about people as they are, and the best Shakespeare I've seen is normally when people, it's done as just how people would speak.
And then you stop hearing the fancy flowery language. And it just sort of washes over, and you just absorb it.
Yeah, they could be saying anything, and it's that translation.
In this production in Peel Castle, I think obviously in Merry Wives of Windsor there's a character called Phoebe, and he was like talking about my Phoebe.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet. Okay, who else have we got in the cast? Oh, the Prince of Aragon is Jeff Pugh.
Indeed, of course.
Legend.
Pugh
I
Hefner,
love
as
it.
he's
Yeah.
also known.
Absolute
So
legend.
the princes of Aragon and the princes of Morocco are two of the comic relief moments in the
Oh,
play,
they are funny.
who Bryony has to tackle as potential
Not literally.
suitors.
Not
Not
literally
literally.
tackle.
Well, we don't know yet.
True, it could
but
change.
as their potential suitors. But they're both fabulous. Both Alex Duncan, who's playing the Prince of Morocco, and Jeff, who's the Prince of Aragon, are wonderful. They're nice moments of very light and very hilarious relief.
Yeah, it's
when we've been doing
really
the
difficult
show.
to keep a straight face in those scenes. It's brilliant.
How's Jeff getting on with the dialogue? Because obviously there's considerably more there than there was in Frankenstein.
That's true. Yeah, he's evolved since February and has learnt to do more than just grunt and
So
groan.
to read.
He has learnt to read in that time. Honestly, both of them are brilliant, very funny. I think, I don't know that you could have cast them better. Really, I think they're just.
I'm not
brilliant.
sure if I know Alex Duncan.
So Alex, he's got a background in professional theatre, so he went to King Billsy. I'm trying to remember
Yeah, I
with
feel
Jeff.
like-
I think he might have. They know each other from school.
Lisa Kreisky's definitely done stuff with Alex.
all right,
She's friends
Yeah,
with
and then he
him.
went away, but he's not done. He did a lot of professional stuff. He's acted in
Shakespeare.
London, in a lot of Shakespeare
Right.
in the UK. He's
Okay.
acted in London. He's done big outdoor productions in England. So he was a professional actor for a long period of time. Then come back to the island. I think he's a teacher at the
Yes,
Buchan
he's
now.
the Buchan, yeah.
And he, he has his personal life, he has his family life, so he doesn't do big roles. But this opportunity came along, and we approached him, and he said he would do it, and he just came in and blew the gunnels off it, didn't
Yeah,
he?
he
Really,
did,
and we
he
went,
did.
all
It
right,
was-
yeah,
it was
that's all right.
Fantastic.
I'm
Because-
really glad that he told me. He briefly mentioned to me that he was going to do a kind of accent of some kind.
Don't spoil it.
I won't spoil. He's doing some kind of accent, okay? Sometime, and I'm
English
really glad that he told me before he started that scene, because I would not have got through that.
Yeah.
if
As
he
the
hadn't
Prince of
told me.
Morocco, then is it Geordie?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, obviously.
Scottish.
Yeah, really strong Glaswegian accent.
Oh, look there. So the Duke of Venice. I'm assuming that's the father of one of these gentlemen, is it?
No, that's no. The Duke of Venice is just the the I think it would be called the Doge. Would have been nice, but the Duke of Venice is effectively is like the head of Venice, basically. Right. Venice's
King.
mayor, the king of Venice, because they were all obviously the Italians. Historically, the Italian city-states were separate
Yes.
entities. It wasn't Italy until after Napoleon.
Yeah.
So when Shakespeare was written, this Venice was its own entity. So the Duke of Venice was basically the head of Venice. The setting for this play is not actually the Shakespearean period. We've moved the setting. Audiences will see when they arrive. It blends nicely with the environment that we're in. I'll say no more. So if you think about the architecture of the Villa Marina, I've got Neil looking with suspicion.
Oh, he's gonna look at
It's not set in 1950s holiday camp, but it's
Your red coats,
I'm
yeah.
specifically pointing to the lighting, but it's the setting I think has worked really well. And so the setting is slightly different, but the Duke of Venice is played by the excellent Chris Jagus, who is obviously well known to Manx audiences. Was in our production of Much Ado last year, and has been in many musicals and many other things as well. So he's excellent as always.
Yeah.
So there's only a couple left now. So there's Solanio, which is Sean Reaney, and Andy Williams playing Tubal,
Yes.
and Ori Wilson playing all the other parts.
Yeah. And Laurie Wilson playing everything else. Obviously, Sean's doing great. Again, it's opportunities for actors who maybe have not had the kind of chances to do bigger roles or big speaking roles, and Sean's just come into his own. He's doing really well. Andy as well is kind of filling in on as Tubal and some other roles as well, and he's doing great. And then Ori, former Young Actor of Man,
Current Young Actor of Man,
current
isn't
Young Actor of Man.
Yes.
I do
Yeah,
apologise,
yes,
Ori,
current
if somebody come in from hit me with a stick. But he was in Monkey's Paw that we did in the Easter Festival with Ian and Meg as well, and he's excellent. So he's very good.
Didn't he win an award for that? Wasn't he like the best performer under 21 or something?
I
like
don't know. I don't think he won it for Hours. He was in something else as
Yeah,
well.
that's the other
I mean, I'm
one.
doing us a disservice there.
Yeah, just claim it
But
anyway.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
He did win an award.
Yes, he did. I won an award for it.
You didn't win though, did you?
What? Well, not the whole thing. All right. All right. The photograph over there. I wasn't even there to pick up my award. So I was at home. My child was ill. I got home and Sharon messaged me, "Are you coming to the awards?" And I'm like, So I went the next day. And was like very apologetic, and he very kindly gave it to me.
Still allowed you to have it. Yeah.
Yes.
Right, so we've got David Dawson back directing again.
Yeah, doing a fabulous job. He did an amazing job. He and Sarah Holland, who was the AD for Much Ado, is AD again, and the two of them are the excellent duo that brought Much Ado forward. And so we basically turned around to them and said, the approach we took was, because we were a new company the first time around, so with Much Ado we took the approach of, we want to get the production team agreed and the cast agreed, because we want as few unknown variables as possible.
Yeah.
With this one, we went, right, we want to start expanding on our promises of we're going to be kind of a production company for actors and production teams. So we basically facilitate other people's visions. And so we said, but we want to do that in stages. So we said, well, this time we'll do it with the cast. So we'll do some open auditions and we'll kind of try and open it up more, but we'll keep the same production team if possible. So there is one constant. So yeah, David and Sarah very kindly agreed to be back on board as well. And Jude is once again providing makeup and costumes and putting people in all sorts of excellent outfits.
Sarah is a good taskmaster as well, isn't she?
Yes.
Again!
Yes.
Oh, she's already come in. We've had a whole thing about currency. It's just
Don't start.
just a whole thing about, because we've changed the time period, so we've changed the currency, and then Sarah's come in and pointed out something is actually £8.75 in exchange rates, and you go, so we're having to change it all around. But it's that sort of attention to detail that you go, I am actually very glad you're here.
Okay, so we all know that Shakespeare is incredibly quotable, and there are many, many quotes from many, many Shakespeare plays that are part of common language these days as well. So I thought I'd do a little bit of a quiz with a bit of a twist to it, and it's the idea of the quiz is the quote in The Merchant of Venice, or is it not? So if I give you the quote, and it is, I would like you to say.
Yeah, I'm not going to do
Okay.
I would like you to say to be.
Okay.
And if it's not, then it's not to be.
Okay.
So let me just
There's a lot of
find.
pressure. There's a lot of
I'm
pressure.
nervous.
I'm excited.
It's just seeing whether you know your script or not, really.
Yeah, that's the issue. Okay.
Don't make us look bad this close.
Is it from the first several scenes? I don't know what it is.
Okay, so there will be bonus points as well. That
Oh,
if you can tell me who it was.
Oh,
If it's not me, I'm not going to know.
Yeah, if it's not my
Are
line,
there
I
prizes
don't
on
know.
offer?
No,
Right, okay, cool. Well,
you get to stay in the podcast.
damn good.
Too long a
Bring it
pause
on.
for that which you do not find here.
That what you see.
Sorry. Oh, okay. All right.
Nearly.
Checking
Well
that
done.
wasn't in the list. Okay, so the first one you can just shout out.
Okay.
Right. So the number one is then it's an easy one to start with.
Yep.
Just to get
Yep.
just to get you in.
We're all
More
going to get this
pressure.
wrong.
Let's just all get it wrong now. Go on.
To be or not to be, that is the question.
Not
Not
to
to
be.
be.
Hey, so
Oh,
it's
I was going to
from
know it.
Oh,
It's from-
dear.
Hamlet.
Hamlet.
and it was
Hamlet.
Hamlet.
Hey. Right, number two. The brain may devise laws for the blood, but a hot temper leaps o'er a cold decree.
You said it was easy.
You just went from really easy to...
I'm going not to
Not
be.
to
Not to be.
Unless it's been cut out of the
Unless it's
version
been-
that
Yeah,
we're doing.
we've made the cuts have been made.
Well, it's Portia.
Oh, so
Merchant
then-
of Venice.
So
I know
it's-
it is. The brain is it? It's in your.
I don't say that
think-
line at any
I think,
point.
yeah, but okay, maybe you don't.
It was probably cut.
Maybe it was cut.
Maybe you cut it.
Nope. I will.
No, it would be no. It would be me
I
and
will
Alex.
show you the
If
script.
if we have cut it, I
It sounds like
apologise.
a Porsche thing.
Yeah.
But I do not say.
Yeah,
anything
because
about brain at any point.
we've trimmed it down so that it's a reasonable length for people to be sitting outside,
Yes.
and then Elizabeth,
Just the 6
rather
hours.
than
Yes, exactly.
rather than when you actually run a whole Shakespeare play, you go, this is going to go on for like 4 hours.
Yeah, at least.
So yes,
There
so,
was a line about that in One Man, Two Governors where he says, I better go tell now, but unless he's going to done a Hamlet. So what's a Hamlet?
yeah. It is. Yes.
Better be quick about it. Last time I saw it took me 3.5 hours. Right, number three then. By my soul I swear there is no power in the tongue of man to alter me.
Oh,
To be. That's
Yes,
to be.
to be.
That's
Yes.
The courtroom
It is.
scene.
Indeed.
It is indeed.
Okay, so
We haven't cut that one.
Yeah, that one's there. That one's there.
so
3 lines in the
We
whole
were
play,
rehearsing that today.
and they're all Oris.
So that's two then. One got wrong.
Yeah.
2 out of 3 so far. Number 4 then. We are such stuff as dreams are made on.
Not to be.
Not
Not
to
to be.
So that's correct. It's not. So who is it and what's it from?
Is it
Is it
Midsummer Night's
Midsummer Night's
Dream?
Dream?
Night's Dream.
It is.
It's not.
No.
What is it?
Oh no, it's not.
oh.
It's Oh no.
Wait, say it again, please.
Is it Romeo
We
and
are
Juliet?
such stuff
Made on.
as dreams are made on.
Is it The Tempest?
It is the
They are,
Tempest.
Or
yes.
is it Caliban?
It's Prospero.
Oh, so close.
I thought I was so impressive for a minute.
I'll
You
give
were
you,
quite
Wizard.
impressive,
I'll give you
to be
half
fair.
of that.
I'm really
you.
sad because I did really well on this quiz last time. Wasn't it?
Right, number 5 then. The devil can cite scripture for his purpose.
Ah, we knew this one. Say it, Ian. Say it. Say it. To
I
be.
wonder why.
It is
To
to
be.
Yes.
It is to
And
be.
which character?
Jeff. No. Shut up. That's
That's not.
That's-
Someone says that to me, I'm sure.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, John, it's John. It's Antonio.
It is Antonio,
It's
Yeah.
correct?
Antonio.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Number 6. To thine own self be true.
Not to
Not
be.
to be.
That's Hamlet.
Polonius.
Polonius. That's it.
And it's
Or
also a great
Legally
song.
Blonde.
Oh, right. Yes, the Legal Blonde.
Yeah, it's
I
quite
was going to say,
Legally
it's
Blonde.
also a great song in Something Rotten.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So multiple
I
shows.
think
We
it's
get
also,
extra points.
it's also sang in Elf, actually.
There you go.
Oh.
And this most of all to
Many.
my own self be true. It's a great speech.
Yeah.
And then he dies.
Number 7. Parting is such sweet sorrow.
Not to be.
Not to be.
So it's correct. So it's...
Another Shakespeare.
No,
One of
it's
the
yes, it is by Shakespeare.
It's
Well done.
it's got the
Bonus
famous
points.
part is the beginning one.
recognise
It's the line beforehand that's really. But my mind's gone completely blank.
Yeah.
Go on, Neil. Just
soon
put
as
us out
Yeah,
of my
it's gonna
misery.
be-
On the
Annoy me.
spot, everything
It's
goes.
Romeo and Juliet.
Ah,
I was going to
yes.
say that.
And it's a 50-50 is who it's going to be.
Oh,
Romeo.
Romeo.
Juliet!
Close. Oh, we all said
We're
that.
doing
Close.
well.
Okay, number 8. How far that little candle throws his beams, so shines a good deed in a naughty world.
That's to be. That's Portia.
That is indeed.
The word naughty is
Yeah,
used more than you
naughty.
think in
I get
this
to say
show.
it twice now. I'm a big fan.
Naughty.
Great.
Now, number 9, it's got really well-known this one,
Yep.
but whether you know where it comes from is another matter. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women are merely players.
It's not to be. As you like it.
It is actually like
And it's Old Man Smithers, whatever his name is. I can't remember. He's an older chap. I did it
well
because
done.
I did. The only reason I know is I did it in the guild when I was 14, and
Yeah, is that not like
and I
the
did it, and then the
everything
the adjudicator said you need to play it a bit older because he's an old man. I went, oh, I've not actually seen it.
I'm 20.
I don't know, but I'm 14. Oh yeah, I can't remember what his name is.
Jacques.
Jacques.
Oh,
Jacques.
And the final one.
Yep.
Final one. I'm not bound to please thee with my answers.
That's me.
Ah,
To be.
Shall I look again?
No, that's just
Yes.
Ian.
He says
That's what he
rehearsals all the
says.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I lost count there, but I think it was about 7.
I think it was
we
full
got.
house. I think we won. I think we won.
Well,
I think it
that's
was
right.
full marks.
Well
So-
done.
I'll take that.
So that's just the car then that we've won. There. That's all.
Great. No holiday for us.
Oh, never mind.
You're listening to the Manx Theatre Podcast.
Right, so for this next little bit then, I mean, we've talked to Charlie and Mr. Dixon before on the podcast, so we found out a little bit about them, but Meg and Brian, this is your first time. Let's delve a little bit into your history and your past. How did you both get started? Bryony?
So I think I started doing performing classes, that kind of stuff when I was about 3. I think I started dancing when I was 2, which is ridiculously early. That's unnecessary, but I started dancing when I was 2. Was in a choir from when I was 4, and then kind of went from there. So I did more kind of. Didn't do musical theatre for a long time, just kind of did singing, dancing and acting all separately, as separate things. And then ended up going to stage 1 when I was, I don't know, about 13.
With Jackie
maybe?
Hawkes.
With Jackie,
And
yeah.
Sonia,
With Jackie
yeah.
and Sonia. And did that and kind of was like, oh, I quite enjoy this. Quite enjoy doing all of these things together. That's quite nice. And then did lots of guild stuff,
Yeah.
lots of that kind of stuff. And then ended up doing some shows with different societies and love it. Big fan.
Because we first met in 2012 on
Yeah,
Grand Hotel.
2012.
When I came
Grand
into the show
Hotel.
about 6 weeks before I
And
opened.
we were scullery workers.
Oh, yes.
And we had crates.
also a lawyer.
Yes. Oh yeah, also a lawyer, and I was doing
Filthy Mucky as a scullery worker, then straight back on in about 7 seconds later as a clean lawyer.
Yes. Yeah, you
Fun
were.
quick changes.
And lots of chastening and kick till you die.
Yes.
That was the quote of that
Yes.
show. Yeah, so I've done quite a few different shows since with lots of different companies, lots of different bits and pieces.
And
And recently, I guess in the actually it's not that recent. Oh dear, I've just realised that
been doing it for a very long
2018
time.
wasn't actually like 2 years ago like I thought it was. Have done other kind of roles on the production side as well. So
Yeah.
I was the assistant director for the ops for a little while for Manx Operatics, for Les Mis, and for Ghost. Went through the entire rehearsal period for
Yes.
Ghost, but it never happened. I have also, I guess last year I was kind of sort of assistant dance captain for Young Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
This year for Evita, I'm the assistant musical director, as well as in the cast as well. So different bits of kind of
taking
production
over
stuff.
the baton from the mighty Liz Dixon.
The absolute legend, Liz Dixon.
Legend.
I love that woman. She's fantastic.
She's amazing.
Yeah, so big and incredibly skilled shoes to feel a little bit scared. But, you know.
Have you perfected that teacher voice when like
I
Ian and the boys are messing around?
Yeah. It's the stare, actually.
She does it in this show. She doesn't know what else.
I get it.
I do, to be fair. It's just, it is. So lots of different things, bits of production, bits of performing.
Right.
Yeah.
Meg, how did you get started?
So I think it was just sort of through school, really, where I started. You know, I enjoyed drama. I always liked singing and things, but I was quite sort of shy. And then I always remember, like, when you're younger and you're talking to your friends and stuff, and you're like, oh, what would your dream job be when you're older, and what would you want your real job to be? And I was like, well, mine are the same. Why can't my dream job be my real job? So then, like, when I went through school, and I was like, do you know what? Like, I want to actually just do, like, performing. Like, why not? So they started doing musicals. I went to Ramsey Grammar, and they did the first musical there for a long time when I was in year 12, and we did Grease. So I was in that, and that's what sort of, you know, that was the first time I'd ever properly, like, performed. So I was like, oh, you know, I'm quite good at this. So then from when I left school, I did an acting degree. So I went to uni to do acting, and then came back here because my third year was COVID, so I kind of had to come back, and then stayed. And then, so my first actual show on the island then was Grease last year, which was I always think is very nice and quite fitting.
Same role?
No, different role,
Oh.
which I actually thought was quite nice. Got to do different stuff. But so quite sort of new to the local theatre scene, really. But yeah, I've been doing it a while.
So you talked there about your dream job.
Yeah.
What would be your dream role? What would be the ultimate part for you to play?
I feel like if I think about it too much, then I'm just never going to decide.
Yeah.
But I feel like I would love to do Eponine. I've just always loved that song.
Yeah, my answer would be Fontaine. So
Oh,
we'll just do
we
Les
should
Mis
do
again.
it.
Yeah, there we go.
Just together?
Yeah.
Coming 2024, Paradise Theatre Company
It's a two-person production.
to a
We're playing all
field
the
near
roles.
you.
Ollie Wilson plays the rest.
Ollie Wilson to play all of the roles.
Yeah, it's not all of the others.
Yes.
Actually, aren't Parker Snell doing the play of...
Yeah.
They are,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they are next year. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be a singing role, but, you know.
You could try and just shove it in really quickly.
yeah, it would be
Why
if I
is
was
she
doing it.
breaking into my dream to dream?
Exactly. Yes.
Or somebody's run in with like a legal document. You can't do that.
That's not a little And on this new question, so this can go to all four of you, actually. What is the strangest or funniest thing to have happened on stage that you've hopefully managed to keep from the audience? But sometimes, you know, obviously, we can't always keep it from the audience. But
For me, both of them happened in. So Annie was my first musical. I've had a number of incidents on stage in plays. Most recently, when we were doing Dial M for Murder, I did one of the coolest things I've ever accidentally done, and nobody noticed. So actually, that was the opposite. I wanted people to see, and nobody saw. Which is, I turned round and I pulled a cigarette out of a cigarette case. It slipped out of my hand, flicked up in the air over my head, and I just put my left hand out and caught it,
No way.
and carried on with the line, and just used my left hand. So I carried on talking, and in my head was screaming in my head, going, "That was the coolest thing I've ever done in my life!" And
Did anyone say that?
Did anyone see that? And you could tell the audience had not seen it because they'd all left. No, because they were. I was just by myself on the stage. No, and I was just doing a speech and just flicked, and I went, that was really cool. And again, John Walker was. Excuse me, John Walker was in that stage. I was on that stage in that show with me. And was on stage with me, and he was on the stage the other time in a play when I tripped over a chaise longue, and the audience audibly gasped because I jumped onto the chaise longue as Algernon Moncrief, went over the front of the chaise, skidded down the front of the stage to the front, and you could see John just looking at me like, this man's going to die in front of my eyes. And I could see the first three rows physically push themselves backwards, and I just stopped myself at the end of the stage, looked, and then carried on. But the worst one was in Annie, because I'd never done a musical before. And I had, God bless her, the wonderful Beth Thomas alongside me as Lily. And it was during the song of Easy Street, and every time we did the song, they'd put a rock and roll lift in, and I'd never really danced before. And they went, no, you're going to swing around you and do all this kind of thing. So everyone would come down the side of the stage to watch, probably, I don't know, hoping that it would fail or something would happen.
No, for support and encouragement,
but we didn't know they were there. It was after the show they told us, we all came down and went, like that every time you did it.
In the wings with their phones.
Well, Jeff just said, I came down, but I could never look. And I'm thinking, why did you come then? Like, you knew what was going on.
There was no one else upstairs.
But the first one was I had to lift her. That lift never went wrong, but I had to lift her off a desk on my shoulders, and that went wrong one night, and she had to just fireman slide down me like a pole. But then the second night we did it, what she was meant to do do was go onto my shoulders on the front. I turn around, then she drops backwards off the shoulders, handstands into like a back, whatever it is, stands up, and we carry on the dance. The second time, one of the times we did it, it went well, it went fine. We shut on our shoulders, and as she was going down me, I felt bing, 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 and I went, oh no, her dress is coming undone. And and she presents, basically the whole front of her goes open to the audience, and as she's going down, and I could feel the dress undoing. And so I remember putting my hands across as she came down, because she's holding on to me, to try and retain some modesty for her.
Hold the dress together.
And luckily the whole thing didn't ping open, but like certain things were shown, and absolute professional, just carried on. But I remember thinking to myself, what do I do if the whole dress just comes off with my hands and she's just like stood there? And I just have to like cover her up and carry on the dance. So that's the most nearly, and nobody seemed to notice that. They probably did. They were just very quiet.
Yeah, see, Tuma had a similar issue during Young Frankenstein
She did,
with the zip busting the back of her dress, and
As Jeff picked her up, and then Jeff had to try and hide it. Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be fair, mine, probably not strange or funny, but a similar incident of almost decking it. I was doing Rent many years ago now at the Gaiety, and I was playing Joanne, and Joy White was playing Maureen, and we were doing kind of big song, Take Me or Leave Me, big song that kind of everyone knows is a big moment, like a really kind of powerful moment with these two women, and typically it's kind of always historically been done where they get on these two tables at the end of the number, and they kind of sing at each other, having this argument across. We always had a lot of fun singing it, and it was really great to kind of have, that power to fight against. All went fine, all great, until very end of the number, when we go like, yes, I'm leaving, I'm gone, and we had to climb off the table, except for my heel got stuck, and I kind of decked it off the table instead, and I was like, great, fantastic, just ruined the best song in the show, and no one's going to remember any of that singing, just the fact that I've decked it off a table. Great.
Brilliant. And you were saying there before about sliding down to the front and sort of heading towards that pit, and you're thinking, I never know whether it's better for the band to be in the pits, that someone can catch you, or actually with all those stands and stuff, you're going to hurt more than falling into an empty pit.
Yeah.
Definitely worse. During Les Mis, I wasn't on stage for it because I was the AD, but we had a moment on the barricade where there was a basket. One of the women on the barricade had a basket full of kind of fake musket balls, but they were just kind of wooden beads that had been painted grey. Someone then kicked that basket, and these balls started rolling towards the pit, towards the orchestra. Luckily, we had the consummate professional Sarah Brew in the cast, who then just lay across the stage to catch most of these balls that were falling into the pit, but several did, and were bouncing off the bouncing off the cello, bouncing off the violin. Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you're doing Can You Hear the People Sing, and there's like musket fire going on in the audience, as every time the drummer hits something, it fires into the sky.
It was like, honestly, they were just raining into the pit. So, yeah.
One man, two governors, there was some apples that ended up rolling down the stage and off to Johnny P, the drummer. He was like, "Oh, thanks." Meg, you got anything?
I genuinely can't think, I think in Greece, there was at one point where I was trying really hard not to laugh on stage, and it was actually Ben, and because he played Sonny, and I was sat on like the bleachers, it was just before We Go Together, and he had like a 4-pack of beers, and he was speaking to Leah, who played Sandy.
Yeah.
One of the beers falls out of the games. I'm laughing thinking about it now. It was so funny. And so he bends down.
They're not exactly period.
He bends down to pick it up, and another one falls out. And it's just happened like 3 times. And I was just sitting there watching it, I've never had to try so hard in my life not to laugh. It was hilarious. But
I'll try
like,
and get David to put that in the show.
oh, please.
Yes.
So funny. But like, I think I've actually been, touch wood, pretty lucky with things going wrong. I know this is going to be the one. Come to watch me fall over, guys.
pulls the thing and the whole set just comes out.
Ian, how about you? Surely there must have been a few instances in Shrek.
There's definitely a few in Shrek where me and Jonathan nearly fell off the bridge. But the one that comes back to me, and I've got to go all the way back to my final year at Ballacomines, and we did a show called Candles, which was based around the Laxey mining disaster.
It was written by Chris Mabry, wasn't it?
It was, yes. And obviously I was in that with Dave Dawson as well.
Yeah.
I was playing the Doctor, and at one point I'm on top of this scaffold, which is representing the top of the mine shaft, and lowering a cage with a little fake mouse and fake candle down into the pit to experiment with what was going on.
Yeah.
And the first night they hadn't secured the mouse properly. So as I bring this cage back up, it gets caught just as I'm reaching for it, and the mouse slips out the cage and falls all the way down for about 6 foot, and there was just a thump. silence in the theatre, and it would have been okay. I'm not breaking yet. But my next line is, "The candle still burns, but the mouse is dead." And how we did not corpse, I have no idea. Yeah.
Marvellous. Okay, what is the best and worst costume you've had to wear?
Oh.
I know Ian's answered this one before, and I'm pretty sure it was the Shrek outfit.
It was,
and
yeah.
and that was the answer for both.
I was going to say.
Yeah, best and worst.
Yeah.
Loved it, but my goodness, it was hard.
I think mine was the same as well. I think my best and worst was my Alice in Wonderland outfit. I did. I can't remember. I'm trying to go back now.
Yeah.
Way back when I was the Mad Hatter.
I think mine are both from when I did Shakespeare at uni. A costume I really enjoyed was we did a version of Midsummer Night's Dream that we took around school, so it was only like an hour long, like dead snappy, and I played Bottom, but we decided to theme it around, we used ABBA songs. It was like Mamma Mia themed, because we were like, it's just like they're all on holiday in Greece. And we just managed to...
I think there's a musical based around that, isn't there?
a little bit. I had a brainwave. And then we just managed to find an ABBA song that fit for every situation.
Yeah,
you know,
'cause
Helena,
you always
after Demetrius is like, Take a Chance on Me, we had Playing Underneath, things like that. So I had this great like Hawaiian shirt on, and obviously the donkey ears, sunglasses, and I did a scene where I sang Does Your Mother Know, but like really badly, because obviously Bottom thinks he's amazing at everything. And yeah, just the Hawaiian shirt, shorts, living the life.
Living your best life.
And then my worst costume was Taming of the Shrew. I played Tranio, and she had me, I did not get on with my director at all. And I felt like this was personal. She had me in a fez, and
Fezzes are cool.
Fezzes are cool. One may appear in The Merchant of Venice, coming the 7th and 9th at the Villa Gate.
Looking forward
and
to
it's not me wearing it. So I had this fez and this giant cloak that I had to... Now, I'm only a little lady, and I had this massive cloak on that was, like, trailing behind me. We did this outdoors as well, so in grass, I was, like, trying to run around with this, tripping over this cloak, and it was, like, I think it was red and, like, gold and, like, very extravagant, but I just felt like an
I want this
absolute
outfit for my
idiot.
personal
I'll show you
wardrobe.
pictures. But, yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
Mine... But I've had, you know what? I've had some quite good costumes, I think, in the past. I'm going to go with probably chess, because I got to pick my own costumes for that show. So I made sure they were comfortable. And it was kind of, I was in the pop choir. There were only 5 of us, so we were essentially like an 80s band, basically. So we kind of, essentially. So we kind of tried to find outfits that complemented each other. So I just wore I just had a really comfy black glittery jumpsuit, and we had like 80s kind of white jackets over it at some point, and it was really great.
Nice.
That was nice, really comfortable. Worst costume, I'm probably gonna say this year in Young Frankenstein. I had many a costume and many a wig in Young Frankenstein. Probably the one that was the most difficult was I was the horse. I was one of the horses.
You're gonna say that.
I was one of the horses in Roll in the Hay. So that's about 6-7 minutes probably of, if you watch the show, a lot of trotting happened.
Largely in the dark.
Largely in the dark, couldn't see anything,
I
looked
thought
like
you were
white noise.
excellent, though.
Thank you. In onesie, which was, it was warm when you were stood still. So after already doing the opening number and doing all of that and then getting changed, it was significantly, painful to do that number with that outfit on.
There was a number in Underneath the Arches back in 2007. I can't remember what it was now, but we were all dressed as jockeys. So you've got that kind of like one leg bouncing, pretty much the same as what you were doing for like about what felt like 8 minutes.
Yeah,
and it's
forever.
just like one calf, like, like your thigh, and just burning. Just walking around in circles afterwards, like, oh my god, I can't walk properly. I feel your pain.
Me and Beth Quayle, who was the other horse, did our own personalised stretching before the show, specific to the fact that we were horses. Yeah,
Brilliant.
In a field.
Method.
Method.
very method. Yeah, that was it. We moved in for the week.
Went for a canter in the Villa Gardens beforehand.
Exactly.
Okay. Here's another new one. So this goes out to all 4 of you. Is there a new show with a part that you'd love to play but you can't because you're now too old? So,
That's a
obviously-
depressing
Ooh.
question.
I think it's because in recent years
Matilda.
there's been lots
No.
of things like Matilda,
Yeah.
but also like I'm middle 40s now, but there are shows in recent years, things like Dear Evan Hansen.
Yeah,
that have
I
come
thought
out.
it
I
was,
would have loved to have played Evan Hansen, but I'm 44. I can't play a 17-year-old boy.
I mean, you could. Whether you do it well would be a
Well,
different story.
yeah. I don't think it would be believable.
Oh, I don't
Is there
know.
a role like that that's for you?
I think not an age one really, but because it's obviously for good reasons restricted to BAME actors, I would really quite like to play Aaron Burr.
Yeah.
It is a role you're like kind of go, oh, that'd be great. That would be a great role. But as it's done, it's amazing, and you kind of like, that would have to have our whole thing. Young roles though,
Yeah, that's harder.
that's difficult. What's recently come out with young with?
I
I was
feel
about to say with boys, isn't it?
With
with
young
boys, isn't it?
boys.
I feel like I can do it the other way round. In that, I'd love to do Come From Away, and I'd love to do the Beverly Bass part, but she's 55,
Yeah.
and I'd like to think I don't quite look that old.
But
Well,
there's-
by the
there's
time
for that.
by the time
By the time the rights are available,
no, that's
I
what I
might
mean.
be
By the
the
time the
right
rights are available, you'll be
Yeah.
at the right age.
Yeah.
I'm similar. I never like the young parts.
Yeah.
I'm getting to a point where I can start going for the parts that I actually want.
Yes.
I don't think there's anything else. I can't think of anything
No, for
that's
me, really.
younger.
Yeah, because the young romantic leads, they're a bit boring, really, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's
Milk
the
stops.
it's the character parts of the fun ones.
Yeah.
Weirdly, I think Shakespeare actually writes the best young romantic leads.
Yeah.
Segue. No, no. I know. Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't know.
No?
Any
All
show,
right.
well, what shows are you thinking? Any shows you're thinking of?
I think I was just
Come
thinking
out?
of all the ones he's listed in
Yeah.
here.
Like
it's one of those
recent
things.
shows.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, there's Back to the Future, which is a huge favourite.
Oh
of
yeah,
mine.
that
I'd love to have played Marty, but
Marty.
I'm obviously wading further into the realms of Doc Brown these days.
To be fair, I'd love to be in the ensemble for Newsies, but I am neither talented enough nor the right gender. So
But
There
these
are
days,
certain songs, aren't there? I mean, Santa Fe is a great song.
oh,
yeah,
But,
it's a great song.
Would I care to play the part? Not really. Would I want to
The
play sing that
choreography is
song? Yeah.
insane,
Yes.
though. The
Yeah.
choreography is amazing. Like, you need to be incredible to be in that show.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, like, there's been-
2024. No.
the production that's just been in London is amazing. I've seen lots of shots. I mean, I know there's a guy called Josh Barnett who was
Yeah.
over here a few years ago. He played Cosmo Brown in
Yes,
Singing in the
that's
Rain,
what I'm saying, yeah.
and he's an amazing dancer. Yet he was in one of the smaller dancing roles
Yes.
because just
Oh, the level is
ensemble,
it's like staggering talent. in that.
photos of the boys in mid somersault in splits
And, like, box
and
splits that
box
are
splits
ju-
and somersaults.
ridiculous,
It's
yeah.
just immense. Mm-hmm. So there's just some serious dancing going on there.
Yeah.
That's one that might be beyond the realms of the capability of some of the local societies here.
Oh, but yeah.
You tone it down a bit.
Yeah,
I think,
maybe.
I think one. I suppose if we're going just on basis of the too old now, I'd possibly say the Artful Dodger
Yeah.
as one that because I was in the 2000. I was too young at the time, really. And also the Artful Dodger for the one I was in was Lorcan O'Mahony, who obviously exceeds in talent and
Lorcan.
ability. I know. He just won a competition, I think. But I was a workhouse boy, and that was my first show at the Gaiety. And I remember watching that and watching him do it, and also kind of like just having watched the films. I thought, oh, he's cool. That's a really cool part to do. And then now I'm 30, so my life's just passed from where I was going. Oh no, I've missed the opportunity.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one that you look back and you go, oh, at that age. But
Yeah.
but in terms of new ones coming in, no.
Yeah, I can't think
Yeah,
of
I
it.
nearly had the opportunity to play Dodger in the 90s, but something happened. I think my sort of drama school teacher wasn't well, so it meant that she had to drop out of the project, which meant that I didn't then get to do it. It was like, oh, nearly the Dodger. Okay. Oh, one more then before we move on. This is the gender swap question. If you could play any character of a different gender, and we could also include different ethnicities in that as well. What would it be? It doesn't necessarily have to be cis white, whatever. It can be whatever.
I've got probably a couple because I'm indecisive. So sticking with my Les Mis theme,
Yeah.
I mean
Valjean.
Valjean, because
I was going to say that too.
I thought I kind of got in there first because I thought you'd do that. But,
Oh,
you're
no.
welcome to copy me because I'm such an influencer. I'd probably go with Valjean because he has some fantastic songs plus a story arc, but it's a massive part. Like that is
Yeah.
a huge part. That and then very random and very very different. The show Once on This Island, which is no one's really ever heard of it. It's kind of set in the Lesser Antilles, so there's not really any white cast in that show.
Yeah.
And there's 4 gods, and there's one called Osaka that's typically played by either someone who is male presenting or trans who plays a kind of more feminine
Right.
god, but has fantastic songs and great parts. So that as well.
Cool. Charlie?
Last time I was on here, I said Lady Macbeth,
Oh.
keeping with the Shakespeare theme. But if to kind of change it around, it would potentially be Elphaba, potentially, or Angelica Schuyler.
Oh.
I think she's
Sensing a Hamilton theme with you.
Yeah, no, I know, but it's a good musical.
Yeah, it's got good songs.
So they're the ones I've kind of you see and you go, if you could pull the chops up. I mean, obviously you'd have to have the ability as well as the gender. You just come in as like, oh, I'm now a lady, and then just go. People go, sorry, not really for us. So yeah, I think they're my two.
Yeah, Hamilton really did reset the bar, didn't it?
Yeah.
Modern musicals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meg?
Okay, I'm gonna go quite rogue, and I'm gonna say The Phantom of the Opera.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just love it.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah,
Excellent.
so
It's not my favourite show.
I would be.
Could you do it
The
as a
Phantom.
woman? Could you
Obviously,
do Phantom
why
as a
not?
woman?
You'd have to.
You'd have to ask Andrew.
But you'd probably also have to be a significant
Andrew. It's like
transposition.
his best mate.
Yeah, Andy.
Sorry.
Yeah, my mate Andy. You'd probably have to transpose everything, which would then affect
Yeah.
what
Yes.
everything else was.
Yeah.
Like you could, to do the
the
Phantom of the Opera
Yeah.
song
Yeah.
and have a Christine that could hit the
Yeah.
notes
Yeah.
if you had a female
Yeah.
Phantom,
Yeah.
would be very difficult.
Well, she had a very again
Yeah,
a woman just going, you know.
Maybe you've got
That's
it.
who we want.
An alto.
Yeah, very much
An
so.
alto
Or
Phantom.
tenor. Yeah, yeah.
Brilliant.
Cool.
Ian?
I think I struggled with this one last time.
I think you did, actually, yes.
Yeah. I'm not doing any better this time. I mean, Lady M's a good shout.
Yeah.
She's such a good role.
I
But
think you may have suggested Mrs. Lovett, actually.
yeah, I think I
Oh,
did.
yeah, you'd be a good
Oh
Mrs.
yeah,
Lovett.
you
Thank
would.
you.
Yeah.
That was my choice.
Okay,
Was
well
Mrs.
done.
Lovett.
Well done, Neil. Ian would make a good Mrs. Lovett.
No, as in my choice for me.
Oh, for you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, fair.
Yeah, I toyed up between Mrs. Lovett and Dolly Levi.
Oh, okay, yeah, fair.
Both shows I've done and loved and had a lot of fun with, and thought they're really good because they kind of they carry the whole show. Really.
Yeah.
Especially Mrs. Lovett. You don't realise how much involvement Mrs. Lovett has behind the scenes because she's pulling the strings of the whole thing. She's pushing Sweeney Todd down a particular route.
Oh, yeah, she's
that he
very
doesn't realise-
manipulative, isn't
Oh
she?
god, yeah.
I think Mama Morton would be fun.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
That's a good part.
But it's not one that I've always looked at and thought, oh, why can't I be Mama? It's just like, it'd be fun.
Yeah, because it's a fairly small part, but you come in with a couple of big numbers.
Yeah, but like a show stealer
Yeah.
part, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's a proper show stealer part.
Yeah, yeah. When you're good to Mama, that's a good,
Good song,
big
that.
number, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. Okay, right. So, moving on to our Spotify playlist,
Ooh.
and I got it right this time. Sometimes I call it the Spotify playlist, but it's the Spotify.
That's a different
playlist.
thing.
So back after the first lockdown, way back in 2020, we decided to set up a playlist of what we thought would be like the ultimate musical theatre playlist. Neil King and I, when we set it up, we each put 10 songs in just to get it started, because who wants to listen to a playlist with 2 songs? And then every guest who's come onto the podcast since then has added a song of their own. Some people have been fortunate enough to add a second one as they've come with a return visit. But looking back through the list, some of the things that we have Tony Eccles chose When I Grow Up from Matilda. Michelle Caine chose For Good from Wicked. Jeff Pugh chose You'll Be Back from Hamilton. Lisa Kreisky chose Marilyn Monroe from Blood Brothers. And Laura Corkle chose I Won't Say I'm in Love from Disney's Hercules. I could tell that would be okay. Being as you're a bit
I
of
should have worn
a
my-
Disney freak.
You make
you're,
fun.
Excuse me. I appreciate Disney. Disney
Yeah.
freak. That's what I'm saying.
Disney
Very
nerd.
much. Yes, I'll take that. That's okay.
You were there for most of the
Self-professed
rehearsals,
Disney.
weren't you?
yeah, I was. I just didn't want to come to rehearsals anymore. Popped over to Florida. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that'd be up your street. So,
It's a great song.
Ian and Charlie, you've already added one, so depending on how nice you are, I might let you have another one. But Bryony, what song would you like to add and why?
I am double checking that it's not already on here first. I'm going to go for a song from a song cycle rather than from a musical. And it's Quiet from 13 Stories Down. And it's Natalie Weiss that sings it.
I love that song.
It's fantastic. The riffs in that song
blimey.
are so good. And the story of it is really good as well. There's
Yeah.
also, if anyone is interested, there's a really good video of Titus Burgess doing it, I think, like 54 Below in New York, and it is just, it's a different key because
Yeah.
you know, but his performance of it is fantastic. It's really, really good. I really like that song.
Brilliant.
There you go.
Meg, what's your choice?
So, again, I was like, I can't think about this too hard or I'll just never decide.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go with Rather Be Me from Mean Girls.
Ooh.
I've not actually listened to the entire like
Song.
the entire musical. Yeah, I heard the beginning. I thought, yes. No, I've not actually listened to the whole musical, but I really enjoy that song. I just like the whole message and the whole thing of like, why is there doesn't have to be so much drama? Just
Yeah.
It's a
Cut
great.
it
The
out,
whole
like,
show is great.
yeah.
The whole show has got
Yeah.
some really good songs in there.
so yeah, that's my choice.
Go on then, Charlie. You give me the
Yay.
puppy dog.
So last time I came on the show, I slightly cheated because you'd already stolen the one I wanted to put on there, which was "Wait for It" from Hamilton. Again on the Hamilton. I'm just saying the only musical I've ever seen is Hamilton. But I chose From Now On from The Greatest Showman the last time I was on here, which is an excellent song, but a movie musical. This time around, I'm going to go with a staged musical from Chess, and we do already have a Chess one on there, which is Anthem. But the one I'm going to choose is The American and Florence Nobody's Side. Which is the tune is just awesome, and I love the back and forth and the changing and all that kind of thing, and it's a powerful song, which you kind of like, oh, it kind of was one of the songs that you're like, oh, I like that, hit me right in the chest. It's like it's a proper song from her, and it's kind of like great. It really sets up the show. So that's what I'm going to.
Back in 2000 with the Manx Operatic Society, Florence Vassy was Lisa Dancox. David Artis was the Russian. Sarah
James.
Holland was his wife, Svetlana, and Matt James was Freddie Trumper, the American. So there was, as you can imagine, it was amazing. That song, nobody said.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I saw the one with the last one they did with Damien and Alex and
Catherine and Sarah.
Yeah,
which was great, which was really good. So. Yeah, that's the one I've gone for.
Yeah, I was having some minor moments whilst watching that, suddenly remembering
Flashbacks.
the 40-second quick costume changes that I had between merchandisers and.
That was literally my life. All of my costumes were at the side of the stage. I had no time to go upstairs.
See, I'd gone from Hot Mikado the previous year, which was one costume through the entire show, easy peasy, to having 18 costume changes in the first half of Chess. Like,
Yeah. It was
dressing room, that was the place you went to in the interval.
Yes.
Yeah.
To cry.
yeah.
Just clear up the mess of all the costumes, then get all the
Literally get them all
half.
set ready. Yeah.
Ian, have you got another song?
Yeah, thank you very much. I would like to go for Dust and Ashes from Natasha Pierre and the Great Comet
Of 1812.
of 1812. Yeah.
Ooh, right, okay.
Excellent.
I do not think that show gets enough love.
I agree.
That's not one that I'm aware of, so I'll have to have a listen.
And it's sung amazingly by Josh Groban.
Oh, yes.
So,
Oh, well.
yes.
Oh.
But so that's why it's basically, Josh Groban's in it, so it's great.
Yeah,
Fair
that's
enough.
pretty much it,
Yeah.
There's a great podcast called The Last Show on Earth, which Sam Barks did an episode of a few months back, and it's kind of like one of my now favourite sort of theatre podcasts that I like to listen to. Obviously, that isn't the Manx Theatre podcast.
Obviously, yeah.
But within it, they have a couple of silly little features, and one of them is John Owen Jones pretending to be Josh Groban, and the person who's the guest has to guess the song, and he's just like.
I love Josh Groban though. I think he's great.
He's great. There's a wonderful clip of because him and Bublé are friends.
Yes.
And Bublé takes the mickey out of him quite a lot.
Excellent.
And there's a wonderful clip that I recommend to any fans of those two where he starts taking the mick out of Josh. Josh turns up on stage and they start singing each other's songs.
Oh, I love
in
that.
a very light-hearted way, shall I say? And it's very enjoyable to watch. I recommend it heartily.
Brilliant. Well, we'll have to check that out. So, The Merchant of Venice then is playing at the Vilmarina Gardens from the 7th to the 9th of September, with performances at 7 p.m. nightly and a relaxed performance matinee at 2 o'clock on the Saturday the 9th. If you've not done so already, make sure to get your tickets from thevillagaiety.com or by calling 600 555 and be quick about it because they're selling fast.
Yeah, and bring your picnic blankets, bring your little lunches.
Watch out for the seagulls.
Do watch out for the seagulls.
Watch
Well,
out
that's
for
the
the
same
seagulls.
anywhere on the Isle of Man, unfortunately. If you do anything outside, you find over here.
We've had one meal lost already.
Yes, but it's and I think the doors are open for people about an hour before the show to allow them to kind of get bedded in and kind of have their
Get comfy.
dinner and get comfy. You can't bring alcohol into the venue, but there will be a bar on site.
Right, I was just about to ask that
Yeah,
question.
no, there will. Don't, of course you will, Neil. And you've got your own special fridge. That
Excellent.
Yes, no, there will be a bar on site, and so you can purchase alcohol while you're there.
Marvellous. Right then, so Charlie, Ian, Mr. Dixon, Bryony and Meg, thanks for joining me on the podcast today, and we wish you and everyone involved at Paradise Theatre Company all the very best for the Merchant of Venice.
Thanks once again, Neil.
Thank you
Cheers.
very much.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you again soon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hope so.
You're listening to the Manx Theatre Podcast with Neil Callan.
Right, let's have a little look forward to see what's coming up in the next few months. As we've just mentioned, the Merchant of Venice is at Villa Marina Gardens from the 7th to the 9th of September. Then we have the Manx Last Night of the Proms at the Gaiety on the 23rd of September. The Christine Wilde Theatre School and Rachel Wilde Performance Studio will then present Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat at the Gaiety from the 8th to the 14th of October. Then, Stage Ed are presenting the Musicals in Concert on the 8th of October at the Villa Marina, featuring Stephen Palfreman and his West End pals and some of the children from their school holiday workshops. On Saturday, the 4th of November, at the Peel Centenary Centre, the Legion Players present A Theatre Supper. That's a performance of My Brilliant Divorce by Geraldine Aaron and a 2-course supper, all for just £20. What's not to love? Getting us in the Christmas spirit early, Centre Stage Productions are bringing us Elf the Musical at the Gaiety Theatre from the 25th of November to the 2nd of December. And then just like that, it's Christmas, and Stage Ed are back with this year's Gaiety pantomime, Aladdin, running from the 16th to the 31st of December. And before we know it, we're into 2024. Where has the year gone? Hopefully, I'll get a chance to chat with some of those people on the podcast closer to the time. Well, with that, we bring episode 48 to a close. Thanks once again to Charlie, Ian, Bryony and Meg for joining me on the podcast. We wish them and everyone involved with Parados Theatre Company's production of The Merchant of Venice all the very best and hope that the weather holds out for them. Remember to go and book your tickets by visiting the Villa Gaiety box office, the Welcome Centre, villagaiety.com or by calling 600 555. Remember to like and follow our social media pages to get notifications of upcoming episodes and events. Don't forget to check out our Spotify playlist by searching for Manx Theatre Podcast, and that's all one word, no spaces. There's over 80 tracks on there now and over 5.5 hours of show tunes to satisfy your musical theatre needs. If you have any events that you'd like us to talk about or promote on a future episode, you can contact me through our social media accounts or by email to manxtheatrepodcast@gmail.com. All that remains is to say thanks for listening, and I hope you join me again next time. I've been Neil Callan, and you've been listening to the Manx Theatre Podcast. Goodbye.
The Manx Theatre Podcast, taking a look behind the scenes of Manx Theatre.
And happier than actors alive for me.